And a week before the full moon, I have to say okay to the recording so I can see your faces. And as usual, inviting you to put in the chat your location, where you're sitting on Earth right now. And if you want, also where you are from originally. New Jersey, welcome. Mine as well. Hello, Rajita in New Jersey. Angela from Brazil, originally in the UK. Hi, Angela. Mindy, welcome from the Oregon coast. Copenhagen, welcome Glenn. Saskatchewan in Canada, welcome. West Hollywood, California. Denmark, hi Maria. Chester in the UK, hello Lynette. It's nice to see the spread. It's like fanning ourselves around the globe. Hi Mindy from Michigan, originally from Florida. And kia ora Catherine in Aotearoa. Deborah, hi in rural Indiana, and Elder Ia from St. Croix Virgin Islands. Cher from the land of the Abenaki people, shores of Lake Champlain in Vermont. Hello, Rochelle from Chicago. Vav, hello from the Isle of Wight. Welcome from the middle of the ocean. So another moment, anyone who hasn't told us where they're sitting and would like to share. Aloha, Kamukum Saber from Hawaii, Kauai. And we'll return to you, Yael. You disappeared. Are you with us, Yael?
Yes, I'm
Oh, now I
here.
see you. So I'm passing the torch on to you, my friend.
Thank you, Diana. And thank you to everyone for joining us in this Moments of Peace, Lechem Shel Shalom, Rachem Salam, the final one for this year. And we have another circle, Wombs of Peace circle on the 22nd of December for Aotearoa and Australia, Oceania. It would be the 23rd, right? And it will be, I will put it in the chat box, the time. It will be a different time because I know for many in our community, this time isn't always comfortable. So it will be in our morning in North America, and for other parts of the world, it's evening or different times of day. I've put in the chat. You can click and on that link and see your local time. We'd love for you to join us in this time, as we were asked by Cher, who's today with us, and many others in our community. It will be a time where first hour will be our wisdom keepers holding the circle and co-creating the circle. And the second hour, each of them will hold a talking circle in a breakout room with a handful of you, our participants. So we get to also hear from our community, and our community gets to share verbally, so we can enjoy your wisdom, the wisdom that you are keepers of, not only the ones we are used to hearing from. Yes, Diana?
I'd like to clarify for the listeners that it's not today that we're going to have the breakout rooms, but on the 22nd, just to make that clear.
Thank you. Yes, yes. That is everything I've just said is relevant for the 22nd. Today we are going to have our usual format where we are, Catherine, I see you're disappointed, where we will just be hearing from our wisdom keepers because, to be very honest, I'm in a hotel in Anchorage and I have a hard stop where checkout is, so I can't even offer the extra time that we've been having to hear from our community spontaneously. So sorry for that, and hope to see you on the 22nd and hear from you, and um, yeah, so deeper into whatever will come there. But today we would like to look at belonging and or with things going on for people and in the world. You heard Syria is going through major changes that might or probably will have ripple effects on the region and beyond. Um, and again, on a personal note, my grandmother came from Syria, from Damascus. So it something in me really like it shook me in a, I don't know, in, in an excitement yesterday. And also a lot of, um, I don't know, unknown. So it's not only joy. There's a lot that we don't know how this will unfold. But for the people who have been oppressed to suddenly feel a sense of freedom, it was major. And also one of our the person who helped me start these circles, Manar, is also originally from there, and we were exchanging messages, we were feeling the same kind of. So it hit me that my belonging has to do with Syria, which I never really considered. So just inviting each of us to, yeah, look into yourself as as we are looking at this topic, um, and other things that the circle will maybe need to hear, and we'll do the talking through our wisdom seekers, as we will all be holding deep listening, whether we're talking or our other selves are talking. And the way we hold this kind of deep listening is with the guidelines that we have received from our elder here in Alaska, our Yupik elder Rita Blumenstein, who recognized that these circles, as she calls them, have different names and happen in different forms, but share the same guidelines. And when they happen, um, good things, new things can start to emerge, a bit like the womb. So the first thing we do is we read aloud the guidelines, even if everybody knows them, just like we set the table for a meal, even if everyone knows where our dishes are in that house. So we are asking to let the circle do the talking as we are doing the listening. And we ask that we listen from the heart, from the ear at the center of the heart. If you look at the word heart, there's an ear there. Let's open that. We are asking to listen with the innocence of a child hearing something for the very first time, like the first time you heard of a dragon or a dragonfly or a platypus, before you knew if it was true or not, if it was right or wrong or any opinion. Just let the story come and land, and maybe the whole story will not speak to you, but maybe a sentence or a phrase in there. And we are asking for it to be, even if you completely don't want to take it in, just leave it lying there for someone else might enjoy it. We all have our different plates and palates, and this is a potluck of offerings. We ask to listen with respect, respecting yourself, your other selves, here in the circle and beyond. Respect time and attention. If you're not sure how to be respectful to someone who's not in the circle or even in the circle, just don't mention names. Instead of naming someone, you can say my friend or a relative of mine. That is true because you'll be also sharing at the end. We give time for our community to share written words. So please bear that in mind as you're sharing your words. We ask to be free. We ask to let ourselves and our other selves be free of judgment, arguing, or planning responses. We ask to come without agendas or titles or assumptions. We ask to listen without trying to advise or advertise or comfort someone unless we specifically ask for that. And we can also listen to the silence together. We are asking that when we speak from the heart, or when we share words, we do that from the heart and not something planned or from the cerebral place. And we can't interfere with anyone's sacred path. So we ask for no cross-talking, to not interfere with anyone's sacred words that are offered here. Let the word come through you, not from or for you. Everyone will be given a chance to share theirs, at least one, be it in a spoken way, like a wisdom keepers, or in a written way. But you do not have to take that opportunity. For even if you do not share words, you will be heard. You will see in the circle that many times someone will say something that you thought. This is because the circle does the talking and not really us. Our active action is listening. We ask to share words when they are right and the moment is right, and dealing of expressions so that our attention that is limited can be given in a good way. We ask to share your truth, which is what you know through your own lived experience. Don't speak or share words on behalf of someone else, even if they were with you in the situation. For instance, the deer and the lion can share situations that is very different for each of them, yet each truth is just as valid as someone else's truth. And even if I am usually the gazelle and suddenly the lion is speaking and I can see the other self in the lion in front of me, reflecting into the lion in me, that I often forget, and this is a chance to remember. And if anyone has changes, this is the time to offer those changes. We'll give a few seconds to raise your hand. Virtually, you have it in reactions at the bottom of your screen, or you can put it in the chat. Do a few seconds for that. Okay. And with that, Kumusebra, may I ask for you to give us the opening blessing, please?
I welcome all of you from the land of Aloha, here on the island of Kauai, the northernmost inhabited island in the Hawaiian chain. It is a beautiful day here today, very blue sky. I can hear the birds. There's a bit of a breeze, but it is very much warming up. And I so support this international gathering because I believe that this is the way that we promote peace and happiness and understanding within all people. I love the diversity of everyone that I see in this gathering. And I welcome the men who are courageous enough to join us. Ea e kalama kahikina, kahiki mai aloha kupuna e. Ukahali ai kali awai kini, waiale ale molale e. Heia e nā pualei mo ki hana, kamawai lua lani ua vehi e. E vehi ke ia aloha e. Aloha kuone hana ue. Aloha no, aloha e. Mano kalani po, aloha e. Aloha no, aloha e. Mano kalani po, aloha e. Aloha no kako to each and every one of you and to all of your loved ones. Aloha.
Thank you. Mahalo, Kumusebra. And With that, Diana, maybe you can take us into connecting to the womb in us and around us so we create a womb energy for the circle.
Gladly. Thank you, Komosebra.
My pleasure.
Let's kindle the flame again as we always do. Let me see. I want to show you the flame of the candle. Inviting you to kindle the light either outside of you in the room where you are at or inside of you. And let's close our eyes together and breathe. Breathing out despair. Breathing out powerlessness. Breathing in hope and fresh new beginnings. In this moment, for every moment is a new beginning. Inviting us to place both palms on our heart, to feel the beat of the heart, corresponding to the beat of the heart of Mother Earth. And if we have a womb in the physical body we inhabit, to place one palm on the womb, otherwise keep them both on your heart. And reminding us that if anyone has had their womb surgically removed, that they still have an etheric womb, an energetic womb that pulses the rhythm of the moon in them. Let's breathe into our heart and womb and from our heart and womb. And calling in the ethers the womb of our mother where we first inhabited this earth. We all come from a womb, and the womb was our first place to belong to. We belonged to the womb of our mother because we knew no other place. There was nowhere else to belong, just to the womb of the mother. Our mother, the great mother. Before that, we were spirit. There was no belonging. We were part of the whole. There was no separation, no boundaries. We were one with all that is. And it is in that journey of incarnation from the spirit world, where all is one, into earth, that we came to belong first and foremost to the womb of our mother, to the being of our mother that corresponds to the being of Mother Earth. No matter how we feel belonging or disconnected in this moment in our lives from various circles of belonging or disbelonging, let's remember that we once belonged wholeheartedly, fully. There was no separation. There was no gap. There was no other point of reference except our full, utter, whole belonging to the pulse of the heart of the mother, our mother, Mother Earth, in the womb that engulfed us. So let's take a moment to feel how that must have felt like, to go back in time to that containment of ourselves in the womb where we came from. And even though we no longer inhabit that womb where we came from, it is imprinted in us as the origin of our physical body, our first place of belonging, and inviting us to carry that knowing, that sense of safety and belonging, utter belonging, as part of our today experience, as we begin to return with our eyes closed to this reality where our body sits on a chair in a room, keeping our eyes closed, having the imprint of our belonging, wondering where else we belong in this moment, just now. And beginning with our eyes closed to reconstruct our environment around us. Remembering the surrounding of objects and colors and shapes. Remembering our orientation towards them. Envisioning what might we feeling, what might be seeing when we first open our eyes. And letting our toes wiggle, our fingers wiggle, bringing more awareness into our physicality. Stretching if we want. Bringing more and more awareness into this moment, into the breath, into now. And when we feel fully present and ready, allowing our eyes to gently open. Welcome back.
Thank you, Diana. As you were speaking, your word containment really kind of echoed in me, and I thought it's not only the womb or the being in the womb of my mother that I belong to, but also the things that I contain that belong to me, like, of course, my children, but then it sent me to thinking of, things that others have said and I took in, be it good things or bad things, and how I belong to these things, and then it made me think of how do we let ourselves not belong to things we don't want to belong to, and it made me think of, for instance, relationships where once we belong with a certain person or to a certain person, and then we definitely sometimes feel we don't belong, and this whole um, beautiful journey and connection between belonging and containment. So thank you for introducing this thought to me that I now belong to, I guess, in a way, or belongs to me a little bit. And with that, I'm wondering, maybe Ia, you can take us into whatever comes through you.
Good afternoon, EFC here from St. Croix, Virgin Islands. And as you was talking about belonging,
Just, Elder, I'm sorry, we can hardly see your face. Can you lower your camera a little bit? Or yes, better. Thank you.
well, my sense of belonging and what I was listening for is the journey of belonging. And when I look back at the belonging, I look at the journey of belonging. And seemed to me when we go to that place of birth, that place of womb, we already made that decision about our belonging in that infants of contemplating coming to earth. That's where I was. what was my gift that I was bringing, and where would it take me in this space of belonging and finding my way? And I feel that I answered that call on some level, and that those who I was born to, they laid a foundation, whether it was through storytelling or through their prayers. It was like that thread, that grid that would take me further into my belonging. And I find myself belonging to many communities and many places. And it feels to me that that was a call that I answered at the exception of my birth. It has come to fully mean that to me, that I answered a call that would take me in the many places of belonging, and that I would meet the stranger, but yet I would meet myself in the stranger. And that's what I feel today. We meet the stranger within ourselves. And when I become unhinged the stranger, I no longer meet as a stranger. I am you and you are I. And to me, that's the dance that's calling to this belonging, expanding this belonging where we are on the planet today. It feels to me that it's calling to two questions. What have I learned in my journey? And where do I really belong? And I say I belong in the universe, and the universe is in me. And when I can recognize that, I can find that belonging in all of us who are sitting here, because we all are in that belonging, that connection. And these are my lessons that I have learned across this earth. And now in this dispensation of turning, I found that I'm belonging to my human family that's stretched out across this earth. That's what I'm finding, that belonging, that there's a coming home to this belonging, but it's not singularity. It's a collective body of our humanity and shared humanity. So that's what I'm feeling, that coming home to really that belonging and feeling that the energy that takes us there. The water, there's a saying in the Igbo language that when they was captured, they took themselves and they decided that they would not be slaves, that they would go to the water because the water would take them home. And so I feel like we're swimming in that invisible water, that universal flood of water that bringing us home to ourselves and to each other as a collective family. So that's what I'm feeling today, that belonging. It's like this contractual feeling that's going on, that we birthing again, but this belonging, because we know now that we're not separated. We have many hues, but we're not separated. We all are one garden of creation, like the rose bed, like all the other parts of nature. We belong to Mother Earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Ia, for this expansion. And as you were talking, maybe in the recording, or maybe some of the people heard it the way I did as you were talking, there was an echo when you were talking about being a part of humanity. There was like an echo and like a deeper sound that kind of joined you. And it was kind of emphasizing what you were saying is we are not alone, and something joined you. In tech is always a trickster, but sometimes maybe it's also a part of the circle. So thank you for that. And just as you were talking about our belonging and the people who prayed us into existence, I'm thinking of some people that I know that have not come into this world with anyone praying for them, or anyone from their blood family praying for them. But very different circumstances. And yet, as you say, we are a part of humanity and of Earth and of life. I mean, these people may have not made a conscious choice to be here and with us when they were babies and helpless, but since then they've had choices, and we often or always have the choice to end life. even if we didn't have the choice to begin life, unless it's the final moment, and then we can't always avoid death, but we can definitely decide to take on death. And that is something that when we don't do, it means we're choosing life. And so sometimes we can feel great despair, and I'm inviting us to tap into the choice that we're making, that is not always our best wish, but it's still a choice, and we're still making it. And thinking of some people who are in very harsh circumstances, even right now in different places in the world, and they're still making that choice, and just respecting our choice to be together and to be alive. And thank you, everyone who is choosing that with us here and now, and not here and now. And thank you. And as you're talking about water, I'm realizing we have quite a few people here from islands and with water, and I'm wondering where they will take us. So, Vav, can you please share whatever comes to you?
Thank you, Yael, and all who've spoken. And Aya, your words just echo with me so loudly. Some time ago, a European university did a DNA sampling test of all their students who were on an English language course, and there were students from all over the world. And they interviewed them initially to ask where they thought they belonged, where did they come from? And some of them said, oh, you know, my mum's from one place, my dad's from another, I'm part Chinese, I'm part Native American. And one young man who was from Iceland said, I am Icelandic. I know I am Icelandic. I have been Icelandic for 8 generations. I am Icelandic. And they did these tests. And when all the results came back, they interviewed them again. And the majority of people had DNA from all various parts of the world, really quite unexpectedly, including the young man from Iceland, who was beside himself because he was Icelandic. But actually, he had he was part New Zealand, part Caribbean, part something else, and he found it really hard to cope with. But to me, it was the most wonderful example that we are all children of the world, and that our ancestors have moved so far and so wide. And it was a huge lesson that we need to discard religions and cultures and see ourselves as children of this planet. We are all children of Mother Earth. And even more so from where we belong. My roots are in Scotland, but I live on the Isle of Wight, which is so far from my homeland. But my home is where my heart is, and everything else is just geography. And actually, when we eat the vegetables that we grow in our lands where we stay, we take in parts of the land that we live on. We eat the animals, the eggs, the vegetables that we grow in our gardens, and we become part of where we are. We become part of that land, and that makes us belong to this place. But we belong first and foremost to Mother Earth. And I think when we begin to see that we are all family, we are all family, and everybody we look at, they are part of us, we are part of them. And that includes the wildlife, that includes the animals. And I know that ancestors have seen the wisdom that the whales and the animals of the waters hold. The dolphins and the whales are seen on equal footing, if not more intelligence than perhaps human beings. Their brain capacity is better than human beings. Yet we find ourselves that some places still eat them, and we don't give the respect to the food that we consume, whether it's flesh or whether it's vegetable. But that makes us who we are. And whilst we consume bits of the land that we live on, that makes us belong to that part. But equally, when we die, our flesh, our bones should go back to the mother. And the mother feeds us, the Mother Earth feeds us as our womb mothers feed us when we're growing in the womb and feed us the milk when we are born. Mother Earth continues to feed us in every shape and every form. And so I think our love and our hearts need to look at the respect for that mother, but also the respect for our siblings, our family who are everybody that we meet, everybody on this planet, and every living being on this planet. But I think in the smaller shape, we find the closeness for those of us who don't have families. We have family. This is a family. This is my Sunday evening family, my Wombs of Peace family. We have the New Moon family. I have the gatherings that I have around my far family. And I think these are places where we find nourishment. So thank you for the nourishment that I find in this circle. And it gives me joy to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vav, for this beautiful nourishment. And I feel you connected me so deeply to food and how it connects us. And so I kind of spontaneously want to ask if anyone who has something to eat or drink, if we can just take a bite or a sip together and just feel the connectedness of that, whichever connects us to the waters or to the nourishment.
And especially the water. The water is the blood of the mother.
L'chaim, let's say in Hebrew.
Sláinte.
The life. L'chaim is to life, which brings me back to what I was saying before Bob spoke, as you see the circle does its little thing. And with that, maybe we can hear some more from our water wisdom keeper, Catherine from Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Kia ora, lovely community. Speaking of belonging, I really feel like this is one of my, communities that I feel gets me. The shadow side of belonging is feeling isolated, And I've noticed that when I feel I'm not understood, I don't feel I belong. And I've noticed, over my life, I've come in and out of different communities feeling I belong, and then something occurs. I won't go into the details, don't need to. You can imagine for your own experience, maybe you can relate to this. I feel I belong, and then something happens and I feel I don't belong anymore, so I move on. This thing about belonging that I've noticed, and it came up for me, Diana, when you were leading us through the meditation, actually, random thought just booped in my mind. There are some belongings that I feel very attached to, and some I feel detached. I'm grateful and appreciative, but I just notice some things, you know what I mean? And it's harder to let go when I feel with the attached belongings to, a person, a community, a situation. And when that feeling arises in me, like I'm having to let go of something I'm attached to, and I feel I no longer belong to, I'm grateful that I have these other kinds of belonging that kind of come in and fill that void. What I'm talking about there is like belonging in the biggest sense of the word, like Ia was talking about, the universe is in me. When I, remember, I belong to this heritage that goes boop, right back. It's high and it's deep. No one can take that belonging away from me. My ancestry. I belong to obviously Māori, but also there's some subcontinent of India, and there's some Scottish in there, and there's some European, the whatever. That heritage is always mine. I can belong to that. No one can take that from me. And also, very importantly, I belong to, in the sense of I'm connected to, a life purpose. Now, I think it's very important for people to have a life purpose. It's like my anchor. When I feel my life is getting all chaotic, and I can be honest here, right? I'm being tested right now with some stuff. It's really testing my faith, you know, my belonging to my values and my beliefs are being really tested right now. But I have this life purpose that just compels me to keep going, to help me be stoic despite everything that's happening. I belong to a life purpose. We call that kaupapa, you know, and you've heard me say, you know, papa references all sorts of things. Whakapapa is our word for genealogy. Papatuanuku is our word for, you know, earth mother. So kaupapa, kau means to, means to grasp. So kau, go grasp, papa, something that connects you deeply to life, gives meaning to life. And when you have that, and you're certain of that, the more certain you are of that, then whatever chaos goes on in your life, you can always anchor back to that. Okay. And know that you have worth. In this universe, you matter. You matter. So yeah, it's your sense of identity, my sense of identity. And I connect with it even more strongly because I put the declaration of my identity right on my face. I'm not saying you guys have to go do that, but that's how we roll here in Aotearoa as Māori women. And there's another belonging to our culture. You know, there was a time when our belonging to culture, it was very thin because the colonizer tried to strip that away from us. And these kinds of traditions, we're having to bring them back. So we have a stronger connection and belonging to our culture. It's beautiful. So these are very, you know, intangible ways of belonging, belongings, very intangible, but very important. In this day and age, when there are so many challenges we face, so many things that we could, you know, feel bad about or anxious or whatever. Yeah. Know what, you know, you belong to. Find things to belong to. And if at any time you're feeling isolated, go deep to those deep belongings that will always ground you and keep you moving. And so I'm just going to quickly see what else there might be here. What's this one? Oh gosh, it says protection. Protection. And you're absolutely right. When you know your identity, it is like the shield of protection. Nothing can touch you. You stand strong in that, you know, and that's a lot to do with what, you know, your values and beliefs that you belong to, you connect to, and your life purpose, your kaupapa. So happy days. Kia ora, everybody.
Kia ora. Thank you, Catherine. It was really interesting when you were talking about understanding and being understood and how it makes us feel like we belong. And I realized I can't decide where I belong, because if I go someplace believing I belong there and then I'm not understood, do I belong? And it brings me to my life purpose and everything that happened for me this week. So on like 2 days ago, I got my American citizenship, but it was a bit of a journey. Thank you. But it was a bit of a journey because you're required to, even if you pass all of their questions and tests and stuff, and they make sure you're, you know, decent enough person, then you're required to take an oath. And some of the oaths talks about military service in case, you know, like Vietnam, where they had a draft and everyone who the government decided to call needed to go. And I didn't feel comfortable with it. And more so my daughters, who are I mean, I don't think they'll draft me as a 50-some-year-old woman, but my girls maybe. And my girls were like, no, we're not saying it. Like, we're not doing it. And so I decided to go explore how I can maybe have a modified oath, which is possible, but it's harder when you don't belong to a church or a religious institute. That if you do, then you just get like a note from them with their stamp, and then if it's recognized by the U.S., you're fine. But if it's your conscience that tells you you can't do that, or that's not right for you, and so you do national service instead. But you have to prove that you're not just basing it on a whim or a political situation, but that this is indeed a life purpose, as Catherine was reminding us. And then I struggle with it a bit, and then I realized, oh, wombs of peace. Like, I already kind of lived that, and so I asked. I wrote a kind of explanation that they need as a declaration to explain why this is as meaningful and present in my life as someone's religious practice, even though it's not religious. And then I thought, just before the interview, I thought, oh, I can ask some people who know me, because they say you can also bring some witness to sign for it. And so I asked, I thought, who knows me and my work enough to, testify or to be a witness to that. And so I asked the wisdom keepers, and some said, with this climate, political climate and stuff, maybe just say what they want you to say, and then have your little battle afterwards. And I felt, as Catherine now just spoke, if they don't get me, if they don't understand me, I don't belong, and I don't want to pretend to belong. I want to belong or not belong, but I'm such a bad actress. Maybe they wouldn't know what was off, but they would have felt something's off. And so I'm like, let's just try. And then if not, also then it's like they can't say immediate no. They kind of have to let you like either have another chance, and if then they still don't I'm convinced by you is the way they put it, then you get the choice of either saying it the way they want it or not become a U.S. citizen. So I said, I want to take my chances in real belonging by trying to make myself understood and see if I'm understood. So it's exactly what Catherine just kind of told us about. And so that's my personal experience. And they got me. So I was able to just say the stuff that I cared about and not say the stuff that didn't belong to me. And then that's it. So you all have I guess, a little community member, family member now that also belongs in the U.S. And with that, I would like to go to someone who was born in the U.S. Before it was like her ancestors go big before it was ever called U.S. So Kuma Sabra, can you share with us your wisdom and whatever comes through you?
So let me understand your question. Ask me your question again, Yael.
Belonging. What does that mean to you through your personal experience or in your culture, or how you feel right now in the present, whatever that may be?
All right, very good. Thank you. That's interesting because I was recently asked by a writer to summarize some of the important moments of my life and what it means to be Hawaiian in the islands. And when I grew up in I graduated from high school in 1963. I am 79 years old now. I will be celebrating my 80th birthday next year. April 16th next year will be my 80th birthday. And so many changes have happened here in the islands in these decades. And what I was telling the writer is that when I attended high school, Um, well, let me first explain as briefly as I can that as a child, my father, my father and mother are both Hawaiians, but during the war, during World War II, he had to join the military. And because he was a university graduate, both of my mom and dad were university graduates in the 40s. And it was unusual for Hawaiians to go to university at that time. But both of their families felt it was very important to get a university education. But as a university graduate, my father was able to join the military. He was required to join the military, but he could join as an officer. And as an officer in the military, his first assignment was World War II in the Philippines. Now, my dad was an athlete. He was a swimmer. He was just an athlete, very, very fit and very tall, big Hawaiian man. And he came home from the war in the Philippines totally against war, totally against war. He said, this is not the way for people to settle their problems, because he saw so much death and destruction that bothered him, I think, for the rest of his life. But as an Army officer, we worked around the world. My father was stationed in Bremerhaven, Germany after World War II. I was just born. I was a child there, but I'm delighted to be in touch with my nanny's granddaughter through internet, because I really feel that, and this is one means that we can promote peace around the world. After Germany, we lived in San Francisco at the end of Van Ness Avenue at Fort Mason. And on a recent trip back to San Francisco, I visited the old quarters where we used to live, and it has all been decommissioned and turned into nonprofit organizations. And the organization that now possesses the quarters where we lived is a child care center, which I think is absolutely wonderful. After San Francisco, my father was stationed in Vietnam. This was as the French were leaving, and the communists were coming down from North Vietnam. And my father had always worked around the ocean. He worked in transportation, in shipping. And so he always had contacts with ships and people. And we always had to have a little extra for dinner, because you never knew who my dad was going to bring home to feed. It might be someone on the street. It might be someone on the dock. It might be someone on the ship. But he also, if like during Thanksgiving, and if we wanted apples or anything like that, he'd always have a bottle of whiskey to trade for a crate of apples or whatever. But my father's next assignment was in Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon. And we lived in Chevy Chase, Maryland, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C. And I was amazed because when we had the huge fires on Maui last year, I had classmates I had been to school with in elementary school who reached out to me on the internet and asked me if I was all right. And I was just astonished to hear from them all these 50 plus years later, to have them inquire as to me and my family and how we are. And we live on another island, so we were not directly impacted by the fires, the devastating fires on Maui. I have very luckily been back to Maui twice this year to serve in different capacities in service to the people there. And I continue to hold them in my heart and mind. But your question about how it is to be Hawaiian in Hawaii is very happy to be here now. I'm very happy to be home in the islands. Last weekend, my family and I went to Honolulu, which is very, very metropolitan, very different from this island, which is much slower lifestyle and very country oriented, much slower. We actually, one of my dear friends, when I first came home and I was speeding, to go someplace, she said, "Don't you remember we prefer Hawaii? If we all get to the same state, you get there first, and when you get there, all get there. So just drive slowly and enjoy the beauty of the island." And I so love this island and the beauty of it. And I have been teaching for 30 years. I was reminded of that this year and loving every minute of it. But I told them that when my grandson graduates, I'm putting him through my private school where I work, one of my two jobs. But I told them when my grandson graduates, I graduate because it's about time. I've been going to school forever and I've been teaching here for 30 years. But the time has flown. I've loved it. And I particularly like keeping in touch with my students who have graduated and come home. And one came home last weekend, a couple weekends ago. She's graduated last year. She was in my hula class, my hula halau, and she's training to be a nurse at the University of Hawaii. And I wanted to take her to dinner. But as I was driving my van is 14 years old, it gave up the ghost. It just puttered, and I had just enough juice in the van to poo on the side. And then I called AAA. I called my hula sister had given me a birthday gift, premium membership in AAA, which includes a tow truck and a ride back home and 24 hours of free rental car. So the magic of Kauai comes into being. But my tow truck driver could not take me back home. So I had my student said, Kumu, I will come and get you. So she came to Kapa'a, picked me up, and I said, I want to take you to dinner. So I said, but I want to take you to dinner where there's Hawaiian music playing because she likes to dance. She's a beautiful dancer. We stopped at two restaurants on Tuesday. Oh, they had no entertainment that night. But finally, we found one that had entertainment, Hawaiian music and singing, Duke's at Kalapaki Bay. And we just had a wonderful time eating dinner, enjoying the music. And then I had a problem of, oh dear, my van is in the repair shop. What do I do? Do I rent a car? Oh goodness, it takes so much. It costs so much to do so, you know? And the magic of Kauai. A friend who owns a music shop, he was having a concert there that night in Hanalei, and I was going to originally pick up my student and go to the music shop. But with my van broken down, I couldn't do that. He texted me, he said, are you coming? I'll save a seat for you. I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't make it. And my van broke down. Well, he texted another friend who has a truck. Her husband passed away a few years ago, but she kept his truck. And she said, can you use my truck? I said, oh my goodness, yes, I would love to, thank you. But they live up north in Kilauea and Princeville, and I'm in Lihue in the middle. And I had no way of getting there to pick up the truck to bring it back to town. The magic of Kauai. A third dear friend, a hula sister, says, I will drive the truck to the airport because I have to catch a plane to California and I have no way to get to the airport. So all of these things fell into place through the magic of aloha and the magic of Kauai. But there's one more story, one more part to this story. A friend out of nowhere sent me $1,000 on PayPal. I was absolutely astonished. Well, guess what? The repair costs on the van came to $994. And the $1,000 paid for it. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, thank you. So the magic of Kauai, the magic of mana, the magic of aloha continues to flow. And I hope that each and every one of you experience that magic. Mahalo for all the hearts. Mahalo. And aloha to each and every one of you.
Mahalo, Kumuse, bro. How beautiful and how accurate, how everything falls into place. And I also have other elders that have had these kind of stories with sums of money falling into place. Just like that. So if any of our audience feels a number or something, we'll put it at the end of our conversation with the offerings, and you're welcome to offer that too if that comes to your heart. And I would like to move from these stories to someone else who was born on the shore of Jaffa and is now living on the shore of Costa Rica. So, Eva, can you take us into wherever you want to take us, whatever comes through you.
Thank you. I want to continue the magic. I feel like this resonated so much. Thank you so much. It's such a blessing to be on this call. And I don't always make them, but when I saw the topic of today, I was, oh, belonging. I've been working on that one for a while. And I want to I want to show you what I hold now is a Palestinian keffiyeh, which is really the first time I hold it. And it's just a recent buy from Palestine, where I was in September for a whole month, where we missed each other, Yael, and where I got stuck for extra 2 weeks. And I realized this belonging to a community has such a deep wounding for me. That has been my journey, to belong to my community. And in Arabic, community means ummah. And ummah is the community of Islam, is when you go to the mosque and you pray, you gather around the ummah and everybody helps each other and help. And when I was in Jerusalem last year, it's been a journey of the last couple of years, actually, for me to come back home. And I used to say, yeah, home is where the heart is. And my heart was broken. My heart was broken, and it's still broken with what's happening in our land. And I feel like this broken heart has just kept expanding, expanding to places I didn't even know I had inside of me. And I loved what every single woman shared in how we belong actually to this circle. And we belong, I was thinking when in one of the meditation, I belong to my husband, to my kids, to Palestine, to my family, and then I belong to me. But beyond anything, I think it's really what I loved in the magic of this is how spirit meets us at the point of action. Spirit meets us at the point of action. And when we don't take action and we wonder, where did spirit go? We never think, oh, but we didn't take action. And so for me, I realized, and the action is not pushing. That's where I'm sitting at the end of this year of, after so many pushing forward with peace activation, with trying to activate peace in the Middle East. And then the news of today with Syria, of the soldier just like removing their uniform. And that was it. And I'm like, wow, can I imagine this in Israel? Can we imagine that in Israel? That soldiers in Gaza and elsewhere are able to remove their uniforms and step out. And so that would be the power of belonging, because we belong to this land and we call it Holy Land, but it's not the only Holy Land. The whole planet is the Holy Land. Every Mother Earth is Mother Earth. And every time I go to Palestine and Israel, the land is screaming enough violence. It dried its tears, and the olive trees are not being honed, they're being destroyed. And we're not harvesting them, we're separating them. And what I learned this past couple of years since I started my journey of belonging, that I left Israel at the age of 19. And ever since then, I never wanted to come back. I never wanted to touch this burning coil. And what October 7 did to me is like, take it, hold it, breathe into it, and it will dissolve. And that's what I'm doing every time in every action. And spirit is meeting me, and the coil is less and less warm. it's getting colder and colder. And the more we participate in such spaces, the more we activate peace in these different spaces and places, especially places, because we're all connected and interconnected. We're not like this one is here and this one is, no, no, no. It's all one. And every change we make in Hawaii, in Honolulu, it's so funny to hear even Honolulu, because as a child in Israel, we say, oh, stop bothering me or I will send you to Honolulu. So I never knew actually when growing up that Honolulu was actually a place I could go to. And so I feel like every single one of us here, the wisdom keeper, but also all the person here on this call that were called to join us today and be with us and listen to us and see what resonate and how they can activate peace inside of them, because peace is not something that happens outside. Peace is a process. We need peace inside of us as individual. Then it will activate peace in the family. Then it will activate peace in, no, actually, sorry, I missed one. Then it activate peace in the couple for those of us who are in couple. Then it would activate peace in the family, and then in the community, and then it would ripple effect in the whole world. But it has to start with us. And for me, this journey to be able to hold this kafia and say, I belong to this community, but it's not the only community. And I will end with a small story. I live in Costa Rica, and I was invited to an ecstatic dance this Friday. And as I said, I've been like pushing a lot for peace in the Middle East. And Friday, I was like, oh, I'm gonna take off this weekend. I'm not gonna carry Palestine with me. I carry her with me all the time. Tonight is just for me and my husband to party. And then as I was preparing the suitcase, I found an earring of Palestine that I have lost since July. And I've been looking for it. And in Arabic, there's an expression, "حطيني حلقة بودنك." I don't have it. I will bring it. حلقة بودنك means you put me as an earring in your ear. And Palestine is like, you cannot let me go. Just put me as an earring in your ear. No need to take the kafia. Just put the earring and go dance. And I will find, I will, when I will look for it after. But this was really a sweet message where spirit was like, okay, I'll meet you. You want to go to the dance floor? I'll come with you there. And so just this type of small magical acts of kindness from spirit and from other people, whether it's someone sending money, someone sending cars, someone sending a plane ticket, it's never us. It's spirit acting through us. And so it's never about us. And that's what is relieving, because whether I want it or not, it's going to happen. You know, whether I do it or not, it's going to happen. And this belief, this understanding gives so much peace to my heart. And I will end with that. Thank you. So,
Shukran, Eva. This is so beautiful. And I'm noticing for myself, one of the most touching, or maybe the most touching thing was exactly as I heard of Syria, what you were talking about, that there was no violence, that they actually took off the uniforms. And just this action of, just imagine if all soldiers in all of the world would take off their uniforms and just not join another uniform, but just, decide that this uniform does not belong to them and they do not belong in that uniform anymore. Just that, yeah, that is exactly the thought that kind of filled my heart with immense joy and hope. And I was jumping up and down here, for something happening in a country that is not mine, that I'm supposed to not even care about or care, less about, right? They are supposed to be my enemy country, but who chooses our friends and who chooses our enemies and who chooses our uniforms and where we belong? And Eva, as you're talking about them taking off a piece of clothing and then you putting on a piece of clothing and the earring coming with you, even when you didn't intend for it to come, just this action maybe when we want to belong or not belong to, even though what is the clothing, still maybe it can help us to take an action to activate the magic that we are inviting in. So, yeah, I'm not going to have everyone take off pieces of clothing, but maybe you can, or maybe we can at some point. So just another little nourishment for the road. And with that, Celine, I'm wondering where things are landing for you and what you want to offer.
Thank you so much. I am super grateful for being part and to belong to this circle has made my life. As agreeing, I'm echoing all of you. As Catherine says, this is a perfect example of belonging and all the benefits that belonging to a community give to us: protection, safety, insight, mutual cooperation. As an example, here in the audience is Evangelia Albrecht. I am working in Europe, and I posted a picture of Vienna from my window, and she immediately called me and says, Celine, I am a Womb of Peace Circle member. Can we meet? And we met. And at the moment we met, I will love to show you pictures. Was like we belong each to the other, and we both together. Evangelia is here in the audience. We felt like we were always together, and we both feel strongest and comforted and feeling protected, feeling safe. And that's the way how in the Quechua, my culture, we differentiate the words. Like among any languages, there is a differentiation in the expression of possession, which is possession express strong ownership. And if you are an ownership, you have to be a slave of taking care of, you are a slave of your possession because you have to avoid others take off of you. And we have a word in Quechua for that expression, as well as in English, is possession. We have the capui. The capui means you possess something with a strong ownership, and this is as synonymous of slavery. You became a slave. It says, we say capu, you became a slave of your possessions. In the other hand, there is for us a very strong concept of belongings, indicating association, cooperation, collaboration. So for our culture, we probably couldn't survive without the feeling and the acts of belonging each to the other. The Quechua people, we survive colonization, poverty, destruction, blah, 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 from the belonging in a community that give us a lot of psychological, emotional support. So the community you belong to is part of a supportive group that significantly reduce the isolation and the anxiety of isolation, which is a human feeling, a human emotion. But the psychological and emotional supports coming from a community you belong of. It's like the example I give you with Evangelia in Vienna recently. Make you feel offering reassurance, understanding, and getting practical help. And so this concept, Nisca, in my language, in Quechua, Nisca, has the power of give you association and collaboration with other human beings or with another community, can exist also into groups. And the importance of our identity and feeling a purpose. Like if you need an identity for yourself, I am a woman, I am linked to my womb, I belong to you, I belong to this group, is that identity who make us a group. We identify us as a women, as a peacekeepers, wisdom keepers, we go form a community, and they give us a purpose. And well, our purpose is so important for having within the community the sense of meaning, of a fulfillment in life. This fulfillment feeling is so comforting, so warm for any human heart. And it's very important to look into well-being in a social connection. You feel well-being when you are really socially connected with someone. And this feeling of well-being in the Quechua community, we express into our collective way to execute music, dancing all together. And a dancer alone is nothing, a musician alone. So we don't have these concert players like flute or piano. We play instruments that only can be played in a community, and give us the connection, the social connection, and make us feel this well-being living. And of course, the aspect of the Aini for us, the Aini is a Quechua word that means you for me, me for you. We have this common identity, we have this social connection. We feel in this mutual cooperation and the sharing of resources. You do have something I do not. I have something that you need. And this is the Aini. We cooperate. We share it over, as well as our problems, we share also our resources. And this is coming from a very, very ancient cultures. So our grandparents, my grandparents has started this, and we keep playing in community, working in community, sitting in community for chewing the coca leaf and talking, solving problems. And of course, we need validation. We, the Quechua community, has been invalidated for centuries. And this spirit of belonging make us feel the validity, the validation of other human. You validate me, I validate you. We are a community, we are an ayllu, we call in Quechua. And of course, acceptance. Every human needs to be accepted as we are entirely. And this brings us to the concept of embracing diversity. So all we are different, all we are diverse. And for this feeling of validation and acceptance, we can hold our differences to grow up into a spiritual level, not for any material purpose. For us, it's quite important the tradition transmitted in oral way. We have a cultural continuity because we belong each to the other. Some of the words I learn in Quechua, the songs and the medicine I do practice, it's coming as a continuity of my culture. So the belonging to a community give me the cultural continuity. I will transmit to the younger generation. This is my focus always. And keep the tradition, keep the ancestral traditions. And of course, what belonging can offer for us, for the Quechuas, is the safety and the protection. We need, if you see at the evolutionary way, the humans we cannot survive alone. Our safety and the protection is in community. I was in Spain recently, and a serious disaster happened in Valencia, where the rain causes flood, and 200 people died. I was in Madrid, and I saw a demonstration. More than 300 people was running with tools for go to Valencia and solve what was killing the people. And that was so beautiful for me. Those are spontaneous citizens who feel the absence of the government in solving this problem, and they decided to go and clean up everything. When I saw that, I started crying. I said, this is what is going to happen. From the many demonstrations around the world asking for a ceasefire and for peace in Palestine, I was dreaming that maybe all of us, the millions we are in the world, can travel to Gaza and clean up that disaster with our hands. As I saw the Spanish citizens going to Valencia for clean up the disaster with the hands, with some few tools. Maybe one day, and this is what is the meaning for me of identity, belonging, continuity, tradition, safety, protection, shared responsibility, and shared resources. Thank you so much to all of you.
Pananchiskama, Celine. May it be so. And it reminds me of what our elders here in Alaska are saying about don't wait for governments or for authorities to do what you feel needs to be done. You know, we are the people we've been waiting for. And so it's time to not wait for others to lead, but lead to see the change we want to have in the world. And Evangelia was with us, but she comes on and off. I guess her internet is not working. But I have a bit of Aini moment to share with you. So that's Evangelia, and that's our Celine. When they met, and I'm reminded as you speak that wo Aini, like Aini is love you in Chinese. Wo Aini is I love you in Chinese. So just these words and the different meanings, even though they kind of share the deep essence of meaning, it's just so surprising and a part of the magic, I guess. And when you spoke of embracing and acceptance, which leads us back to the containment that Diana laid at the very beginning with the meditation. And I'm thinking, I think it's the first time I understood the difference between a hug and an embrace. Because with hugs, there are some hugs that you feel, oh, that wasn't a real hug. But when you embrace something, when you accept someone, that's an embrace. And so may we have good embraces, and may we go after this meeting and embrace something or someone that we belong to or belongs to us in a good way. And it's so beautiful how the water brought the people together even when they were causing disaster. The water was causing a disaster. And it brings me back to Ia, that started the whole water theme that has been so present with us here. And Diana, I'm wondering what comes. Oh, Eva, I wanted you to come closer to the screen with your earring, because I saw you found it for us. Yay! Well, it's beautiful. Thank you. And Diana, please share with us whatever this brings to you, from you, through you.
Thank you. I'm touched by all that was shared and all the stories, and I know we don't have much time, so I want to highlight a little story that for me represents an aspect of belonging. There was a big macro sweeping view of belonging. I want to zoom in on a micro here, on a little story. So I live away from where I was born in Romania, I grew up in Israel, and I live in California. And I have a circle of friends of a few Israeli people. None of them is committed to the policies of Israel, but there are various and sundry sentiments and feelings about the policies of Israel. Now, none of them supporting it. Anyway, a while ago, the friends wanted to celebrate the Day of Independence of Israel, Yom Ha'atzmaut. And I said I'm not going to celebrate it because for me it's not a celebration. For the Palestinian people, the Day of Independence of Israel is a day of tragedy, is a day of loss, it's a day of Holocaust known as the Nakba. And I was not going to celebrate it as a celebration, even though Israel got its independence on that day. And there was starting to be a lot of murmurs and a lot of discontent and a lot of unhappiness about my choice, where I belong in terms of my thought process and my opinions. So I said, okay, I need to bring this into light. I'd like to invite you to a circle, and I'd like to invite you to say, if you feel I don't belong here in this group of friends because of my beliefs, because of my opinions, you'd have to own it. You'd have to stand up and say, you do not belong here. We need you to leave. You'd have to say it. It can't be just a murmur that ripples around. I will not love it. It would hurt, but I would accept. If you don't want to own it, if you don't want to say and own the feeling of you don't belong here, you need to leave, then you have to accept me for my opinions. And no one wanted to own the excommunication. So for me, it was a huge shift. If I wouldn't have brought this up, I would have been marginalized, gossiped about. There would have been so many feelings up in the air. And that thing of owning, of standing up and owning what you are wanting to say, or holding your tongue, holding your peace. And it was held and it still holds. And there is a room in any circle of friends for people who belong, even though they feel completely different about topics, that have completely different opinions, completely different beliefs, and still belonging is possible. Because like so many of you said, I'm you, and Selena said in Quechua so beautifully, I'm you and you are me. Hello, my other self. Can you be your other self? Can you be my other self if I disagree with your opinions? Yes. Yes, I can. And yes, you can be my other self, even if I disagree with your opinion. We can still belong on a heart level. So I know we have to stop, so I will stop here.
Oh, thank you, Diana. That's so powerful to feel the kind of subtext and then bring it up to the surface and have people say what they mean and mean what they say. That let our words belong to us and let us belong to the words. And as I'm thinking of the word belong, I can see the be and the long, and maybe that is the part of this dance that we belong where I belong to being a woman because I already am a woman, but I also long to be a woman, and it's this ongoing relationship that I'm having with my womb that is right now not carrying anything, oh, sorry, we're carrying a lot of things, but not a new life in the human sense. But how do I still connect and belong to my womb? And so I'm being and I'm longing and I'm being and I'm longing. And so just putting it out there for us to also hold that too, and inviting our community for 2 minutes to have all of us silently listening and taking in the words that our community may choose to share. And Catherine, I was gonna look, but I couldn't because this was so rich for the haka that you shared that was done in the parliament. If you can find it and put it in there, it's another surprising part that seems to not belong in governmental things, but yeah, filled our hearts with something. People dared to take action, as Eva reminded us, and speak and present what they did in their own voices, as Diana has reminded us now. And with that, I will be silent and give 2 minutes for our audience to offer whatever is coming through you. Thank you. And I
Wow,
am
it's great. My husband say, we listen in the background.
with the haka. You click on the haka. Yeah. So Catherine has just put it in there. And so you can scroll a little bit up to her messages and you can find it quite powerful. And as we said at the beginning, and I know some of you have joined late, we're going to have a solstice circle on the 22nd of December. And it's going to be where our wisdom keepers will hold the circle. It will be a bit shorter and we'll have a bit more people for 1 hour. And then the second hour, we're going into breakout rooms where each of them will hold a circle with you, our community. So you get to also experience sharing verbally and sharing your wisdom with us or with each with the group that they get to be with. And for that group, we are also asking for confidentiality, which is a part of the talking circles that are off the camera. The first hour will be live streamed, and that is just our wisdom keepers. And so we are really looking forward to seeing you with us. It's going to be different times. I've put it in the chat. I'll put it once again. And before we leave, also, Laura, if you can put in the links to our newsletter you want to join, and next events and the reciprocity. And with that, Elder Ia, I'm wondering if you can take us to a closing prayer, please. I'll add spotlight.
Thank you, thank you. What came to me, it was so much beautiful sharing, and it's like wrapping it in a blanket. And my spirit said, take it to Mother Ocean. She belongs to the water. Today is a very special day in that I got download today from guides, my guides, that today is a really a special day. There's a gateway open. And that I read that also, I saw the thing on the soldier, that let's wrap that in this blanket that we created here, this swoop that we created. Let's wrap it in and hold it and let it be a template and a message to us that we can hold in our womb space and allow this to rip out into the universe, into the earth mother, into the world, that we show up here not as the conduits, as the ones who have been summoned and called to stand in this gateway today, and to call and remember that all we have to do is remember that we are the ones that we waited for. We are the ones who are standing here now. We are the ones who've been summoned to this threshold. We're the mothers of our time. We're the ancestral wisdom. These are the dreams of all our ancestors collectively dreaming us and holding us. So I want to take us deep into the roots for this. And I want you to just imagine that you're rooted from the sole of your feet, that there are strands, these roots are going down into the earth. Just imagine that they rooted and they spread it out in all those places, and that we are communing together, which creates that bridging, that gateway to our international, our universal citizenship. Our universal citizenship. Hold that in your belly, where we all belong, where we all can hold that placenta together, because we're coming home. And so I want to end us with coming home. And you can come home too. It's a song. I forget who it comes from, but it's a song. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Where the grass grows green and the water runs free. We're coming home. 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 I want you to join me. Let's hum it. We're coming home. Coming home. Where the water runs free and the grass grows green. We're coming home. We're coming home. We're coming home. We're coming home. We all are coming home. We're returning to the home fire. We went out and we have learned the lesson, Mother. We have learned the lessons. And now we're coming home in our wisdom body to take action, because we know the way home. We know the way home. We're sitting here in this artificial intelligence that allows us to reach into the universe. All over the world, we're coming home. We're the women. We're the mothers, the grandmothers, the goddess, the returned ones. We are she, returning home. We are the one. And so it be. And so it be. So it be.
Thank you. Toda raba. Shukran. Shukran, Chiskama. Mahalo. Thank you to all of you who have co-created this with us. Every encounter is a co-creation, and this was a beautiful one. And we hope to see you with us on the 22nd. Have a good day, week, night.
Kia ora. Thank
Kia
you.
ora.
Mā te wā.
Blessings,
Bye.
blessings.
Gratitude.